Peggy 16.
Hello there, Final Fantasy fans, and welcome to our second playthrough video of Final Fantasy Type-0 HD. My name is Dan. I am a community manager at Square Enix Europe, and today I am going to be taking you through summoning in Final Fantasy Type-0 HD. If you've seen our first video, then you should be up to speed with the basics of how combat works, and if you haven't watched it, then I suggest you go back because it's pretty good. Well, at least I think it's pretty good. Not because I was involved in it anyway, but maybe you should go check it out. So, let's hop to it. Since summoning is very different in Final Fantasy Type-0 HD when compared to other Final Fantasy games, I thought it'd be a good idea to show you exactly how it works in the field. So, in the bottom right, you can see sorry, I just have to keep running around and dodging this Helldiver. In the bottom right, you can see your abilities, which are tied to the face buttons. Oh, there's Rem down. As I mentioned in the first video, this game is pretty tough, but for the purpose of demonstrating Eidolons, we've got auto revive put on all the characters, so they obviously won't die because they'll just be automatically revived. This won't be the case in the final game, but it's something worth pointing out here. So above your ability gauge, which you could say your ability menu, I'd say, at the bottom right, which let's dodge that, is shows that we are playing this on PS4, but Xbox One version of the game will look identical, just instead of the PlayStation buttons and symbols, it will be Xbox buttons and symbols. So above the ability menu is the ability gauge. When it's up a certain level, what you can do is if you just press the triangle and circle buttons together, you can summon an Eidolon. So, gonna reacquaint ourselves with a very good friend of the Final Fantasy series, Ifrit. So, unlike most Final Fantasy games, you get complete control of your Eidolons when you summon. So you control everything in real time. So it says me just walking around as if it was just pretty cool. And you control them basically the same way as you do your regular characters, your regular members of Class 0. So you'll notice as well in the beginning that Rem had to sacrifice herself to summon. So when you're summoning, you lose a character to perform the summon. And unfortunately, instead of like when a character dies, you can replace them. After a summoning, you can't replace them. So you are permanently a character down. So what that means, actually let's just get rid of this heavy gunner. Yay! What that means is that you really have to be conscious of when and if you want to summon, because you have a very difficult kind of trade-off. Do you want to keep all your characters together and alive, or do you want to sacrifice one for a burst of power? Now, above the ability gauge you will see a clock that at the moment says 1 minute 15. For the purpose of this demonstration, that clock, we set that clock not to go down, but in the final game you have a time limit on how much time you have to use your Eidolon. So when I first summoned Ifrit, I would have only been able to use him for 1 minute and 15 seconds. So do you want to get that burst of power for that amount of time, but lose a character? So lose your team down from 3 people to 2? Or would you rather just stick it out with 3 characters for the whole mission? Up to you, and it adds a little, well, I say a little, adds a rather large layer of strategy to, there we go, take that with the shock trooper. So yeah, as I mentioned, you control all Eidolons in real time and show Ifrit's moves He's got Eruption, Meteor Strike, which is a long range. Oh yes, take that. And Blazing Strike, which is either a standard strike, or if you're locked onto somebody, it's a charging move as well. So today actually there are multiple Eidolons, and we're going to show you a couple more in just a moment, but bear in mind that each Eidolon is upgradable. So this is like the standard Ifrit, but throughout the game you can level them up to make them more powerful, and each Eidolon has different variations, but we're going to leave that to you to discover for yourselves what they look like and who they are. So let's see what are the Eidolons we have to show. So we're going to show another familiar Final Fantasy summon. Definitely a familiar name at the very least. We're going to summon our good friend Shiva, the Ice Queen herself. Now, as you can see, she's had quite a different depiction in Type-0 than she does in other Final Fantasy games. For one thing, she's, I guess, you could say maybe a pro ice skater. Very fast around the battlefield, very zippy, and of course all of her attacks you can see on the bottom right. Familiar names like Diamond Dust, which are all ice-based. So Icicle Twirl, I guess a standard attack. Winter Wonderland, which is a great big ice spell. And then of course Diamond Dust, which I guess isn't really having the same kind of effect as the Colossus is already frozen, but it has freezing. It's basically a close combat twirl with freezing effect. Ooh, this guy's nasty. Standing up to the Queen of Ice herself. How audacious. Oh, missed that kill site. But yeah, so that's basically Shiva in a nutshell. Just like Ifrit, she's upgradable, has new abilities and different forms that you can incorporate as you level up. So let's take this guy down. No one defies the Queen of Ice. Take that. And now we'll move on to a different Eidolon. So we're going to run through, I guess, all the familiar Final Fantasy summons in this walkthrough or playthrough. Because right now, summon Odin. Now, if you've seen any trailer of Type-0 already, then you've probably already familiar with what Odin looks like. But let's see what he can really do. He's got a special ability when he is first summoned. Now each Eidolon, actually, I should have mentioned before, has a unique property when they're first summoned. So Ifrit and Shiva basically they surround themselves with fire and ice, so surrounding enemies get damaged. Odin basically puts an instant kill site on all the enemies, which hopefully you saw a glimpse of when he was summoned. But otherwise, yeah, he's quite, well, I suppose he's Odin. He's supposed to be scary and super powerful. So let's run this guy over. Just run. Don't stand in front of a horse, especially one being ridden by. Oh, that was painful. Okay, so Odin's 4 moves, or I say 3 moves, involved, you can see in the bottom right. So Moonwing Blade is kind of a long range, I suppose it's hard to really describe. It's kind of, you can see Odin swings his sword, but it's a long range attack. And Zantetsuken, which will be a familiar name to any Final Fantasy fan, is a charge up attack. So you can see that percentage marker, because I've been charging up for a fair while, so I'm 100%. And then if I release, the attack, it's a charging instant kill. Or at least incredibly damaging attack. Oh, it's Hell Diver, let's see, come on, 15, 20%. See, the longer I hold it, the more it charges up. The more powerful the enemy, the longer it will take to charge. And let's, oh, maybe I shouldn't wait until 100%. There we go, they're taken out. Bang! No one stands before Odin and lives. And Cavalier Charge is his final attack, which I suppose is quite self-explanatory. It's a jumping slash attack. And as you can tell, yeah, Odin is pretty beefy. And, you know, with the circle button we can prance about to get around the battlefield that much quicker. I think Odin is probably my favorite. I love Odin in Type-0. I mean, I love Odin in every Final Fantasy game, but in Type-0 HD, he's... Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay, don't look at that because he was getting shot in the face by some kind of rocket. Oh, but... way to ruin my moment. So, let's jump to our fourth and final Eidolon that we are going to show today while Odin gets shot by some rockets. So, the fourth and final Eidolon that we're going to show in this video is, surprise surprise, another familiar name to Final Fantasy fans. However, this name isn't maybe as familiar because this Eidolon doesn't appear in as many games as the last three. This Eidolon is Diabolos. How cool is he? Now, what's cool because he, whenever he moves, he, like a vampire, he turns into a flock of bats, which, like sort of like Odin, who tramples people under his horse, Diabolos does massive damage just by touching people while moving about, which makes him pretty formidable. Now his spells, his moves are all centered around gravity. So you've got the Dark Barrier, which sort of a, ooh, there we go. The Gravager Sphere, which you basically charge up by holding down the X button and does damage to every surrounding foe. But then if you charge up long enough, then you can also launch it as a slow moving projectile, which is a nice pretty explosion. And then you've got Shadow Strike, which I guess is his standard attack. I guess it's a melee attack, I should say, which is making quick work of these soldiers. Oh, and I've just noticed that, yeah, all my other teammates have actually been killed. It seems like I've, although I mentioned we had auto revive on before, it seems that I've deactivated it by accident, which was a bit of a mistake, but I suppose ties into a Type-0's theme of mortality. You know what? I know I said Odin was my favorite, but Diabolos does look really, really cool. Someone's trying to ruin my moment. Silly Hell Diver. So yeah, so that's basically how Eidolons work. Very different from every other Final Fantasy game. It's a real tactical decision you have to make when you deploy them, because of the fact that you lose a character. Do you want to risk making your team smaller in the long run for a burst of power, or are you so desperate for power that you're willing to make that sacrifice? I guess that's up to you to decide when the game comes out. I've been Dan, Community Manager at Square Enix Europe. Thanks for checking out this video for a quick playthrough with the Eidolons in Final Fantasy Type-0 HD. We've got a couple more videos on the horizon coming as well, so be sure to check those out.